Hello friends in my pewter. This is just a video for me to rant and complain about my problems because I don't like being a whiny bitch and I don't trust therapists or psychiatrists or anyone to be honest about my problems, so this is my platform. I've been getting a lot of mental health adjacent videos on my YouTube For You page as of late. And not mental health in the sense that's like, how to stop being sad. This is the helpline phone number. Not like that, but more in the sense of, does OCD or bipolar 2 have more skibbity riz aura? I love that approach. I think it's brilliant. Destigmatizing, but well, not making them less serious, I guess. You could argue a couple perspectives for that, but I thought it was very funny. But I looked up the thing I'm struggling with the most right now, which is my inability to stay awake for more than a few hours at a time without taking the legal equivalent of meth, and all the videos were so drab and serious. And I wanted to make a funny video. I don't have that in me. There's nothing funny that I can share right now. Maybe when it subsides. But I wanted to put a perspective on the internet that's not just somebody with a degree talking about how chemically one would feel with these problems, but more so how somebody who has a lifelong pattern of these experiences actually goes through his life and my perspective. Disclaimer, I'm not fully diagnosed because it's a process. It is a process, right? Because of the sleep disorder world, I feel like insomnia, she's queen bee. You know what I'm saying? People focus on her. No shade in that. That's fine. I think insomnia is more detrimental to your health, your health in terms of being alive and being able to live, versus hypersomnia just destroys everything, but you're alive, you're hanging out. I don't know, I don't see much about narcolepsy, and there's probably others. I'm uneducated, I don't have a degree, but that's not why anyone's watching me, but no one's watching me, so I'm just here to talk. But the process to getting diagnosed is essentially, from what I've gone through, is I saw a psychiatrist who referred me to a sleep doctor. There's probably a special name for that. But then you have to get the multi-sleep latency test done, which is fine. I can do that. Insurance doesn't want me to. Daddy Aetna is like, no. The medications that you can get prescribed after taking the sleep latency test cost $100,000 a year. No way Aetna's signing up to do that, right? Because I did the overnight study, the overnight test. The test for sleep apnea to see if that's your real problem. It's not. I don't have sleep apnea. I kind of wish I did. I feel like that would be the easy way out, but feel free to let me know if that's an insensitive take. But I wasn't able to go through with those tests because my insurance wouldn't cover it, and then I moved away. Unfortunate. So I had to start the process over with all new providers, but this time I started with a neurologist to get that sleep doctor referral. Neurologist, super cool guy. He listened to my problems. He's like, I trust that you know that you have migraines and sleep too much. You're an adult. I'm sure you understand what a reasonable amount of sleep is. He was right. I do. So he phoned up the sleep department, was like, let's get this shoddy in. Much more professionally than that, of course. And they did. They got me in that week, which is fantastic turnover, especially for living in a city. I was like, dang, y'all got your stuff together. We need to learn that. The Northwestern medicines in Illinois, they need to learn that. They have you wait for 6 or 7 years. I went to see an OBGYN, and they're like, we have openings in 2028. I made the phone call 2 years ago. My appointment has not come up yet. I haven't canceled it. I probably should. But anyway, they called me. I got the appointment in next week, and they're like, yeah, your behaviors do sound disordered. That makes sense. If you've already taken the overnight test and nothing came up, we'll just, you have to repeat it before the MSLT anyway. So they're like, we're not going to have you come out and make a special trip for that. Yay! So I take the MSLT in April. Don't know how much later I'm going to get the results, but I highly doubt I'm going to be surprised. Because when I was younger, I would sleep a lot, but it wasn't as big of a deal because I was on medication for mental health from like 7 years old, right? And like stimulants made sense. Like I wouldn't get sleepy on stimulants, but I started taking like SSRIs and then mood stabilizers. I think I was on mood stabilizers before I hit my teenage years, which is ridiculous. That is so uncommon and really messed up with my brain. But I digress. The past is in the past. There's nothing I can do about that. So I was always like, wow, it's probably just the Seroquel that I'm sleeping so much. And my parents, like, there's a whole other can of worms I can get into some other time. They just like, there was no concern, right? They were like, you sleep too much, but that's okay. We don't fuck with you heavy. If you knock out, that's okay. Less of you. Paraphrase. And I remember I'd take the circle and I'd knock him under where I was, right? And I was so, because I have autism, right? My doctor told me to take it at 7 p.m. every night, and I did, no matter where I was, right? I remember going out to dinner with my dad, and I was like, 7 p.m., popping pills, and I was like 9 years old. My dad's friend was like, what? And then 30 minutes later, I fell asleep on the table. I have no idea why people allowed me to do that. But that was the excuse for my sleep patterns, right? Is I'd be tired, but it would be blamed on the sedatives that I was taking. But then I got older, and I flip-flopped between different sedatives, but I didn't really, like, change the fact that my baseline was still exhausted, right? In high school, before I went to the boarding school that I went to, my schedule was go to school 2 periods late, right? I'd skip the first 2 periods. There were some other motives for that, but that was still what I did. And then I'd go to school. I'd sleep during every single chance I could possibly get. Not in class, because I was so scared of confrontation, but in like the study halls I had, they would put us all in a room. We each had our individual desk, and it was meant to be quiet. So I would knock out. Kid next to me, knock out. I considered it my little slumber party for the day. And then I would go to my other classes, and then I'd go home. And my cat had a bedroom. Don't know why. Privileged things, I guess. My cat had a bedroom, and I would get on the beanbag chair, and I'd hold my cat, and we'd sleep until it was nighttime, till like 8 or 9 p.m., and then I would get something for dinner. I'd go to bed. I did zero anything during school days for the very large majority of it, right? And then we had lockdown, 2020. I was 15. And I would sleep through all my classes on Zoom. And I got caught for it so many times. But I didn't care. I was like, I can't be in my bed and not asleep. And I had an IEP, so I didn't have to turn on my camera. But I just used that to knock out. Not sure why anyone at this point allowed me to do the things I did. Fantastic support system. But knocked out. And then I went to boarding school because there was a lot of stuff going on at home. And I still slept excessively, but it wasn't outrageous. I'd say on the high end of normal. Like I'd sleep. We had a demerit system where you got one demerit if you did something wrong. And the awesome thing about my school is that no matter what you did, it was all weighted the same. Like you didn't get multiple demerits for something that was worse than anything else. So it's like the demerits were essentially useless, right? Because you could look at someone's chart and they had like 3 demerits, but it could be for like I can say it. I'm not monetized. Sexual assault. There were kids that did that. It was extremely common at the high school I went to. They'd get 1 demerit for sexual assault, and if I missed my alarm and was 2 minutes late out getting out the dorm, I got the same punishment. Yay. So I ended the year with the second most demerits out of everyone, and my roommate was number 1. So we both almost hit 100. The number we were told to keep below was 5. So we were about 20 times like 3rd place, which was I was really proud of that. But I slept in every day, every single day, right? And it was still like a lot, but it wasn't that much. But then I got to college, and I would just go to bed, right? Like I went to a university first, and I lived on campus. I cannot tell you how many classes I slept through. Ridiculous. And I'd have like a 20-minute break between my classes, and I'd go to my dorm and go to bed, which was not enough time. It was not enough time to get to my dorm and back. I would just go to bed and skip my classes. I don't think there was I think there was like 2 days in the entire semester that I did not miss one course. At least, like, if I went to every single course. So that was like the period where it was better. Like, I wasn't on as much medication, but I also was like my mental health had like the sleepiness hadn't manifested to the degree that it is now. Like I was always the first one to go to bed. Like I didn't go to parties, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything like that. I'd go home and go to bed. It was nice. I loved it. I went to college a little bit later because I didn't like university that much because just not my thing, I guess. But I went to college and I would literally go to the college because it was a 45-minute drive, and I would sleep in my car instead of going to class because my mom would track my location because she knew I wasn't showing up, and I'd go to bed. I would go to bed. It was insane. Instead of my classes, and I'd just drive home. And there are times where I had fallen asleep behind the wheel, right? Like it was not super uncommon, but it was also like, you know, I have mini naps per se. And I told my parents, and they're like, "You good?" Right? It's not a reason to drop out of college, right? Like I didn't know how bad it was gonna get, but then I got a little older. Like college continued for another 2 years or so, but then I had some relationships. I have since realized I don't really like men, so that like just keep that in mind. I didn't really like this guy, but I had a relationship with this one man. Evil guy, don't like him. And he had like the opposite problem that I did, where like he could not sleep more than 6 or 7 hours a night. 6, 7, whatever. And I would sleep, at this point, documented on average 15 to 18 hours a night. Average. So some nights were more than that, some nights were less. And so he had like an extra 12 hours a day, and like we were Velcro, right? So, but his parents didn't fuck with me. So he would stay at my house, and he would like go fishing, he'd go to carve. He would get so bored because there's nothing for him to do. And he would drag me out of bed, but I just could not get up. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just, it had just been cascading down, right? And I was just exhausted. I was so tired. And it was like, there were days where it was like I would really drag myself to like important events, right? If he had a car show like he really wanted me to go to, or something we had planned in advance, I would go. But he would complain because I'd always be like, he'd be like, "You slept 12 hours last night. How are you falling asleep right now? Like sitting up, falling asleep? How are you doing that?" And he would drive, I'd knock out behind the wheel. Like, not behind the wheel, sorry. I wasn't behind the wheel. He was behind the wheel. I would knock out on the passenger seat. He did not like that. We argued for like a bajillion other reasons. It came to a head when I was like, "I love you, but like platonically, don't think I like guys." Which is something I've always known, but internalized homophobia, I suppose. But I was going through everything minus hypersomnia is completely diagnosed by several professionals, by the way, because like, you know, everything overlaps. But I had been going through a very severe manic episode at that point, so I did not communicate the fact that I didn't think I liked guys in a way that was sensitive in any way. Totally was the villain at the end, 100%. And I take accountability for that. I would reach out and apologize if it weren't for the fact that it would, I think, cascade both of our mental health so far back, and that he absolutely does not want to hear from me. At all. That book is closed. That is okay. We did not benefit from being in each other's lives. We were very destructive. It was good for a good portion, but I think the overall harm was very great by both parties. Whatever. We'll both get over it. So, you know, I was in institutions a lot after that, because things cascaded really bad. And I I remember I got put into a 10-day involuntary hold, and they just wouldn't release me. And I was like, "Why won't you release me?" And they're like, "You sleep over 22 hours a day. The least amount you have slept out of the 10 days you've been here was like 21 hours in a day." My bad. I'm tired. And I remember they talked to my care provider, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to put this individual on room lock." I think that's what it's called. where you can't go into your room, right? And they didn't let you sleep in the common area. Like they're allowed to use excessive force, right? I didn't think that they were gonna like booty juice me because it's like that would just make me go to bed, but they also never really cared about the reasoning of sleeping. They just assumed it was a symptom of depression when it's like, no, documented issue. I just wouldn't talk to them. Also, my bad. I would say during this about half a year point, I was not on my best behavior. But they were like, you need to cooperate with programming. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I slept over 22 hours a day for 10 days straight. And eventually the legal amount of time that they were able to keep me had elapsed. I got to go free! And then I just went home and went back to bed. And my mom's like, you are not productive in Illinois, so they shipped me to Pennsylvania to be on the farm with my Meemaw. Love my Meemaw. Love that woman. And she gets me, you know what I'm saying? You know, we'll hang out and she'll be like, let's make plans for like 5 p.m. tomorrow, because you'll wake up around then. Like, you get me, Meemaw. You understand. So, then Meemaw let me sleep. Let me do my thing, right? And then I got sent to a very long hold. Months, couple, something like that. I got out New Year's Day, or one of the two. I don't remember if it was like first day of 2025 or last day of 2024. But I was also not cooperative. My bad. For reasons I think are justified if I explained them, but that's not the point of this little chit chat. But I didn't think it would be helpful for my growth. I was just there because my dad made a promise to me financially, and I wanted what he was promising me. So I went. I did what I needed to do. I got out New Year's because the deductible was going to start over and we were going to be on the hook for another couple $10,000, and it just wasn't. Everyone agreed that it was not productive, right? I was stable at that point, had been stable. Yeah, we're good. It was not going to do anything, right? Because I had been in and out of those types of programs since I was like 13 years old. There is nothing that it could teach me. I knew it, I just wasn't at a point where I was going to apply it. But then, I don't really remember much for a hot second, but I started seeing like sleep doctors and stuff like that. He's like, you probably got hypersomnia. I'm like, yeah. But insurance wouldn't cover the test, so they couldn't medicate me more than I was already. And then I made the impulsive decision to move to DC in like May-ish. Don't recall. I love it here. It's fantastic. I started like actually applying therapeutic principles. I'm not medicated minus the ADHD meds. Life could not be better other than the fact that I am very tired. But in the grand scheme of a patch of schizophrenia, bipolar, and borderline, I think that that's not the end of the world. You know, it's okay to be a little sleepy, I guess. But it's just more annoying, you know? Because I get very overstimulated very easily. That's been a fact of life my entire life, right? You know, got diagnosed autistic before they even, I think it was before they even changed it back to like to autism. I think I was Asperger's originally, but always been on the spectrum, right? I've known it since I was itsy bitsy, before it was cute and fun on TikTok. But the overstimulation gets so much worse when I get migraines. But when I don't sleep, I get migraines, right? So it's a cascading problem. It's a self-feeding cycle. But then if I don't leave my apartment, then I don't have that sunlight. It just makes me sad, which makes me sleep more, which makes me guilty because I'm sleeping more, which makes me sad, and then I don't go outside. It's a self-feeding cycle. That's the issue with a lot of mental health problems. Sorry. That a lot of people don't understand is that the root cause may not be super severe, right? Like with my bipolar episodes, The root problem was really that I just didn't want to get better. But it's it's very hard to fix the root problem when everything builds into it, right? If it were like a cake, if I were baking a cake and I didn't put enough eggs in the cake, you just add an egg, right? But if you bake that cake and then I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like turn that cake and like put 17 million different ingredients into it and then decorate it and serve it to a bunch of people and like somebody didn't like it or what, like there's a lot more factors that need to be considered because it's like if you see a bad cake you're not going to think like, oh, no eggs, right? Like you've got to dissect the rudimentary issues and things can compound, right? Because not enough eggs, there's too much flour, right? It's like they can all build on each other. It's just kind of annoying. My rudimentary issue with my bipolar disorder is that although the cycles existed regardless, and they still exist, my issue is that I wasn't being proactive enough in fighting the behaviors associated, right? Because my brain will hate me no matter what I do. Forever. For the rest of my life. That's fine. What I can't do is feed into that behavior. Because, honest answer, I learned that I suck at killing myself. And sitting in the hospital room for 7 days while your liver is kind of mad at you sucks a lot worse than just bed rotting for a few days, for 3 months, a year. And I've learned that that's okay. Like, it's okay to suffer sometimes. It's okay to not exacerbate your issues so that you can receive help. Not that I was faking. I don't want that to be misconstrued that way. But more so that I allowed myself to get worse because I thought that that was the only way I was deserving of help. That if I were having minor issues, I was not. My issues weren't justified, right? So it's like it's not only the fact that I wanted to get worse because I thought that I needed to suffer, but also because I wasn't at a point where I thought I was able to push through a couple months of kind of suck. And I preferred a week or two of suck really bad. And I assumed that the couple months of suck didn't follow it, but it always does, right? I don't know. Hypersomnia as well, compounding issue, right? But it's very difficult. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm just gonna start over with my original thoughts that I wanted to get to. Hope you don't mind. I don't feel like editing this because when I make TikToks and stuff, I record it a million times, and then I spend like 3 hours making one TikTok. Not productive use of time. No one watches them anyway. But when it comes to hypersomnia, it's not necessarily the brain fog. Not the brain fog. It is the brain fog that sucks. It's not necessarily the sleep that sucks, right? It's like sleeping is my favorite thing to do. I think a lot of people are like that. It's you get a rest in my nice, cozy, comfy bed. I get to feel all nice and relaxed. I get to hug my little stuffed animal spider. I get to hug my pillow. I get to be so warm and cozy in my little matching pajama sets. I put on my rain noises. I dim the lights really low. I have my little sleep mask. My like scents and stuff. My diffuser. It's a beautiful experience. And that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that, right? Like, if in a void where I did not have responsibilities and weren't wasting massive amounts of time, I would sleep for much more than I'm allowing myself to sleep right now. But it's more that it becomes excessive after a certain point, because I swear I'm not stupid. I'm getting to why I may be seen as stupid right now, but it's just once it becomes excessive, it eats up every other aspect of your life, right? Because it's like I'll talk with my buddies about what we're doing with our lives, and I feel like they're doing more, but they have twice the amount of time, right? If they sleep 8 hours a night, I sleep 16. I have 8 hours left. They have 16. I have half the time. It makes sense that I'm not as productive. And of that time that I am productive, this is the part of that I hate the most about the hypersomnia, the suspected hypersomnia, is the very intense brain fog. Because when I talk to my friends that have insomnia, I don't know, I think hypersomnia and insomnia are conflated more than they need to be. Because, they're word wise very similar. And, like, they seem like opposites, which, like, they are in some senses. But it's not. It's not that, like, I just want to go to bed and I can stay up if I want to. Not the case. Because, like, when I would have bouts of sleeping problems when I was younger, it really sucked because I wanted to go to bed, but I just couldn't. And it definitely leads to issues. And I think insomnia is very bad for your physical health, but hypersomnia, obviously, very bad for your mental health as well. But with insomnia, there was never a compulsion aspect, right? It was never like I feel a compulsive need to stay up. And some people may have that as like, but that insomnia wouldn't be the root cause, right? It would be something else leading to insomnia. Insomnia would be the symptom. But for me, hypersomnia is very compulsive. You know, like I talk to people about it. And they're like, just set an alarm. Just get up. Just stay up later, right? And it's like, I do wish that was an option. But when I start to feel the intense drag of brain fog, it's not really an option of whether or not I'm going to go to bed. Like, it's like, I don't know if you've ever taken Seroquel. It's like when you take Seroquel or like adjacent medications, you will be asleep in 30 minutes. So it is in your best interest to prepare for that. And I feel like hypersomnia is the same way, but without the medication and without the control. Because with Seroquel, if I wanted to stay up overnight, I just wouldn't take it. I'd still be exhausted, but because, like I said, this is way before the hypersomnia manifested to the degree it is today. But if I wanted to stay up, it was more within my control. Oftentimes I'd fall asleep anyway. But nowadays, it's like my body tells me you've got sometimes it's more urgent than others. It's like I'm starting to feel tired. I've probably got a few hours left. I probably shouldn't leave my apartment. Or I am going to go to bed within the next 5 minutes. And my mom and I kind of go back and forth on this because she's like, just stay up and get your schoolwork done. Just stay up one night to get what you needed to get done. It's very compulsive, you know? I hope I'm using that word correctly. But I don't feel like I have an option. You know? It's like my body tells me, you are going to bed. You're going to bed. And then I go to bed. Regardless of where I'm at, pretty much. I've gotten to a point where I know my patterns, I know myself well enough that I'm no longer falling asleep in public. Driving on short form public transportation, like city buses. Fantastic. That's very good. But if I lay down on the couch in my room, I will go to bed. If I lay down in my bed, I'm gonna go to bed. I've fallen asleep on the bathroom floor before. I know that I have a certain amount of time, and then I'm going to bed. So it's very compulsive, but that kind of adds on to the brain fog, because a couple hours before my body's determined bedtime, I'm so tired, and the brain fog, I just can't think. I get my degree in math soon enough, my associates. Nothing special, but still proud. And I get my associates, you know. I can do math. I tutored calculus for years. I'm not the shortest straw in the bunch of straws. I don't think that's a metaphor, but you understand what I'm saying. I can't do like simple math. I get tired enough. I can't think. I can't process anything anyone says to me. And at a certain point, if I push hard enough to stay awake after my body wants to go to bed, I can't process like words. I can't read. And then my mental clarity just deteriorates, right? And it's worse certain times. Like there's some I'd say it's episodic. I don't know if that's like how it's supposed to work. I really haven't researched it a whole lot. It's just these were the, people are telling me. But I feel like sometimes it's significantly worse than others, but it has been entirely consistent. Except during manic episodes. Mania me doesn't sleep. But every time else, yes, yes. But the brain fog is so severe. I can't process things. And then when I do go to bed after I crash, I have behaviors in my sleep that either have been reported or I've seen on my phone. Um, where I will text people and make phone calls that I have absolutely no recollection of, right? And I've been told that I seem very coherent, and my buddies can bait me into conversation. Somebody's flying a helicopter outside my window. Crazy, crazy. Don't know what they're doing that for. But if somebody asks me a question through text at like 3 in the morning when I'm knocked out, I will respond. I don't know how I know that somebody texted me, but I wake up and there's a whole conversation in my messages. And I'm like, dang. Guess that's why I dreamt about the buses. People are asking me about the buses. My friend would ask, like, what time does the bus come? And I'm like, you can look it up on the Wamata website, or you can see it in the Google Maps. And then I dream about the buses. It's great. I love dreaming about buses. But it's like, I wish that I was conscious enough to not to do conversations in my sleep, right? And I have an issue as well. I've curbed the sleepwalking. That was an issue in my childhood. Not anymore. But I would get drinks and stuff. Like, I would drink, right? And it would be bad because I can't keep alcohol or energy drinks in my room. I will chug them. Same thing with fish chemicals. Like, chemicals with the fish tanks. I can't do that. I can't keep them. Granted, this has not been an issue in a very long time, but was an issue before I learned to just keep, like, 4 bottles of water next to my bed that I chug in the middle of my... And I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I'm sure, but little to no recollection, right? Like I said, it's very compulsive. Like, I don't feel like I have control. And it was an issue... Oh, someone is hitting up my telephone. But it was an issue in, like, when my mom was waking me up before, like, I got my telephone, Where she'd be like, good morning. I'd be like, I'm up. I would not be up. I had no recollection of that. And she'd be like, we had a whole conversation about school. And I'm like, I don't know that. I don't remember. But nowadays, whenever I set my own alarm, and I've kept the alarm tone very consistent throughout the years, I recognize it. And I do wake up to some degree, but I almost always make the conscious decision to go back to bed. I don't know. Like I said, it's very compulsive. Like, I'm sure if I got some god level, gym bro level willpower, I could get up. But if I sleep only 8 to 10 hours, then I'm gonna take a nap. But I don't take naps, I just go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Or whenever I look it up, like, why am I sleeping so much? Like, the first things I always see is, like, you have sleep debt. Like, you haven't been sleeping enough. And remember when I was younger, I was like, oh, I just gotta sleep a lot. And then I'll be good, Because, like, that's totally how sleep works. You just gotta bank it up. So I remember one time, I didn't set an alarm, I just slept. And I woke up. I went to bed at, like, 9 p.m. Like, some sort of reasonable, like, grandma time, right? And I woke up at, like, 9 a.m. I was like, maybe I just don't need to set an alarm. Maybe that's my key, right? And I went downstairs and I was like, Mom, that's awesome. Like, now I get to enjoy this Friday morning. And she's like, Friday morning? What are you talking about? And I was like, Friday morning. And she's like, it's Saturday. And I'm like, oh, did I just get the days of the week wrong? Like, I always had something on Fridays that I wanted to go to. And I was like, did I forget to go yesterday? And my mom was like, I didn't see you yesterday. And, like, I remembered having a conversation with her the day before. So I was like, no, like, we talked about this. And she's like, that was not yesterday. You slept over 24 hours. 36 hours. I was like, oh. And then I went back to bed. Because I was like, what's the point? What's the point? I don't know where I'm getting at with this. It doesn't seem that bad. But it's just more the not being able to trust my own body to do like body tasks, you know? It's like things like, going to New York or doing a day trip. Because I live in DC, so New York is a day trip place. And I don't drive anymore. I specifically gave up driving because, one, love public transportation. Two, I do not trust myself behind the wheel at all. I've gotten in several accidents due to mental health crises, totaled my car, almost killed myself. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it, and it's super expensive, and I love the trains anyway. DC has fantastic transportation. Couldn't recommend more. But like taking a day trip to New York City where it's like it's not like I can pull over and find somewhere to knock out. Like I'm on this bus and I don't fuck with the Greyhound. I have not had good experiences on the Greyhound, right? And so it's like maybe these things aren't an option because of just how exhausted I am, and that's just annoying. I was gonna go to Chicago to see my mom a week ago, and then I was like, I am too fatigued to get out of bed. And I was too fatigued. It was on a really bad day. I was too, like, because daylight savings times hit like me like a truck. I'm not sure why, but I always get sad around this time of year. I think it's just, like I said, a compounding issue. But I literally just got rice and some water. I put it in the crock pot and went back to bed. And I let it cook, and then the rice finished cooking, and I turned it off. Didn't eat the rice. And I just went back to bed for the night. Could not go to Chicago on the 18-hour train. Because all the airports in DC are kind of inconsistent right now. And I don't have real ID. My bad. But, I don't know. It's just deeply annoying to have experiences that aren't bad enough to warrant people taking them seriously, but bad enough to get in the way of day-to-day life. Because when you tell someone, I sleep too much, they don't really realize the gravity of that, right? Like the mental fog, the sleepwalking, the sleep behaviors, the sleep calls, sleep texts, the going home halfway through an event to go to bed, I know we're hanging out right now, but I've got to knock out. Can I knock out on your couch? But I don't want to go more than 30 minutes away from my apartment because I need to have a home base to go to sleep. I feel like I'm on a leash to my bed. Like when you see those irresponsible dog owners go to the grocery store and they tie their dog to a leash to like the stop sign on the corner or something like that so the dog can't go far. Like I feel like that with my bed, right? It's just my friends are like, I'm gonna go party all night. It's like I don't think I could do that. I don't trust myself to not knock out, you know? And I also don't feel safe enough to disclose that to people because I've gotten in a situation before where I was going out with this guy and he made jokes about sexually assaulting me in my sleep because I'd sleep through it. I was like, weird fucking thing to fetishize, I guess. I don't know, he didn't follow through, so just a sick fantasy he decided to share with me on a whim for no reason. Thanks, Will. I'll dox you. Thanks, Will. But I don't know. It's isolating in the way that a lot of life experiences are isolating, right? Like not having the ability to properly communicate that things are an issue, right? I don't know. Goals for the future, I suppose. Psychiatric medication has never worked for me in any regard. I mean, right now I'm on psychiatric medication. I take 20 milligrams of extended release Ritalin an hour or two after I wake up so that I can stay awake. I drink like 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. I'd say on average about, I try, like, not I try, but like, I need like half a cup an hour towards a cup an hour, but it really doesn't do a whole lot, you know. For reference on my clarity right now, I have been up for 10 hours after sleeping 18. And I feel like I haven't slept in weeks, but 40 minutes of rambling. That's gonna eat up my disk space. I'm gonna just put this on the interwebs so that I can have this for later. If you watch this, let me know. I don't think anybody's going to. That's okay. I've got a lot else to complain about. Eventually I will make better videos where it's scripted even slightly. I just wanted a chance to talk about my experiences without having to talk like this for TikTok and have it super duper fat. It's so tiring. And then I re-record everything a million times and it takes hours. I enjoy TikTok, but the dopamine hits, not my thing. Bye bye, internet.